The spirit's untended-ness. Modern society is infatuated with wealth, power and youth. It advocates cleverness without wisdom and glorifies the superficial, the superfluous and the coarse. It exploits human vice and turns it into virtue, and assaults us with ceaseless advertising which promotes a culture of indulgence. When lived with a mind steeped in the toxins of sensuality and pride, life becomes a hollow shell, empty of meaning and significance. Is it any wonder that people are angry? Although venturing our frustrations on others through incessant yelling and capricious acts may give us satisfaction in the short term, it utterly blocks us from the path of true joy. The thrall of materialism and competition robs us of our inner peace and leads us to cherish attachments as we become ensnared in the net of greed. As our covetousness becomes more and more difficult to satisfy, we are in the end reduced to slaves of money, becoming more machines of consumption. Amid the confusion of illusory hopes and ambitions, we dream of finding happiness, but in reality, we are consumed by pride, hatred, jealousy, fear and anxiety. Although pestered by a vague feeling of disease, we cling at the expense of elegance and serenity to our hectic and selfish modern ways of life. By day, we project ease and confidence as we strive to compete and win. But at night, when we are alone, our hearts are often unbearably dark and distressed. We are externalists, believing that the answer to our disquiet is to be found in the world around us. If only we could manipulate people and events to our liking. Thus, we have become unable to observe our inner world or touch the ground of our being. We shun the spirit's quiet core and dismiss all talk of the eternal or sacred. Indeed, society almost unanimously confirms such bias. From academia to the entertainment industry, it is taken for granted that nothing is real beyond what we can experience through our five senses. There is a gap between delusion and reality which, if seen clearly, signals the degree to which people have lost their way. To say that human civilization itself is imperiled by our delusions would not be an overstatement. Everywhere in the world, drug use, excessive drinking, sexual promiscuity, violence, fraud, and youth crime are becoming grave social problems. One needs only to glance at the evening news to see this is true. As much as we rue the loss of public morals and private virtue, we perhaps detest more our existential solitude. On the deepest level, our hearts are untranslatable, forever locked in dungeons of radical skepticism. Warped by our loneliness, we are suspicious of those around us and incessantly work to shore up our personal psychological defences. We are frustrated by our lack of access to the levers of power in society, but neither do we have motivation to create change ourselves or to help other people. If only life does not confound us with obstacles, we are satisfied. It is like we are crawling in an endless desert, nearly dead from hunger and thirst. Modern civilization is given to us like a cup of cool, refreshing water, but it is really salt water. Our hearts are so consumed with chaos that we do not even believe truth really exists. We are bewildered by our suffering and scared of our deepest feelings. Thus we are lost, endlessly churning in the cycle of rebirth. When John D. Rockefeller was 43 years old, he founded Standard Oil Company and became king of the budding oil industry. After 10 years, the stressful work and long hours had broken his health, and he looked like a mummy, according to his biography. He suffered from a strange digestive sickness, lost all of his hair, and was forced to start wearing a hairpiece. His shoulders drooped, his feet shuffled, and his back slumped like a dying old man. Every week he made $1 million, but doctors only allowed him to eat biscuits and drink yogurt, for which a few dollars was certainly enough. Through his whole life he was obsessed by money, even to the extent of being neurotic. When he was 53, he once collapsed in a panic because he had wasted a $150 insurance fee. His doctors told him that he must choose between an early death and retirement. At this juncture, with his life hanging in the balance, he finally managed to come to his senses and gave up his obsession with money. It had not brought him happiness, but rather had wasted precious years of his life. In a single bound, he leapt free from the stare of greed and finally took a look inside himself. He began a life of philanthropy, donating life-saving funds to a school that was about to close, creating a black college fund, supporting the medical research of a PhD, and setting up the International Rockefeller Fund, which is devoted to eliminating sickness and illiteracy worldwide. Rockefeller transformed himself and became a generally happy and contented man. Even when his institution suffered setbacks, the former neurotic, who once had broken down over the loss of less than $200, was able to sleep peacefully. He lived in good health to 98 years. Thank you, Namo Ami Tufor.